Today, we're going to talk about a pretty cool PC pickup that I made in the last couple of weeks. This is the card I've been chasing for quite some time, at least 3 years. And I want to talk about it because it's probably going to be the last big purchase that I make for quite some time, just given all this economic uncertainty in the world, all this trade war talk. And I'm probably going to hold off and put my money elsewhere for the time being. So I'll talk about that a little bit, but I want to show off this card to you guys because I'm pretty excited. I don't yet have it in hand, but I will have it shortly. Also want to talk about a pretty cool ticket that I had recently graded by PSA, because this again will remain in my PC for quite some time. I'm probably not ever going to sell it. I want to talk through the thought process behind why I went ahead and bought it. But to sort of kick things off before I get into the card itself, I've sort of seen a lot of talk online around this economic uncertainty, particularly off the back of these tariffs and these trade wars that are going on. And whilst I ultimately think things will even out and be okay, what we've sort of seen in the last couple of weeks, particularly with the stock exchanges in the last 24 to 48 hours, has been a little bit spicy. And I think that's going to flow on into sports cards, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, because at the end of the day, sports cards are considered a luxury good. And I think, when push comes to shove and people need to sort of pay their bills or put food on the table, or, unemployment increases or inflation continues to increase, I think we're going to see a situation where people look to move these cards as quickly as possible. And I think there's going to be buying opportunities off the back of it. So that's part of the reason why I've stopped buying, because I'm sort of putting my money aside, because I think there's going to be things and opportunities for me to buy a lot of what it is I'm trying to chase in the next 6 to 12 months, potentially even longer. I don't know how things work. I'm not a genie or anything like that. I'm not a mind reader. So maybe, this economic uncertainty only lasts for a really short period of time. But the way I'm sort of thinking is I'll sort of sit back and try and chase some of these cool PC pickups. And I think, a lot of you guys would probably agree on that. When I've sort of read my comments over the last few months, a lot of people are sort of saying the same thing, and they're asking me for my opinion and what it is that I'm doing. And I think, I've been preparing for this for the last few months, I want to say at the very least, because I haven't bought a lot. The last card that I actually bought before the one that I'm about to show you is this one over here. This is a Andrea Pirlo Soul of the Game. I think I showed this off in December last year. It's an 8 of 10. Flawless is the best soccer set ever released. They only ever did it for 1 year, and I think the Soul of the Games are the best insert within that set. And that's the same sort of theme as what I'm about to show you, right? I picked up another one of these things that I think is for another pretty cool PC player. And because I'm being very targeted, it means I'm buying less, obviously. I just think the way things are going, I need to be a bit more careful with where I am spending my money, like I said. Now, in terms of the pickup I wanted to show you today, it is this card over here. It's a Frank Lampard Soul of the Game from the same set. He's a Chelsea legend. This is a pretty cool PC card that I've wanted for a long time. I think prior to this one getting listed, I've only seen one copy get listed twice, actually. I missed out on it both times via auction in the last 3 years. So when I saw this, I went crazy and I bought it. I think I got it for like $480 plus taxes, which is a really good price in my opinion. Yes, these things might come down further, but from my perspective, because I've seen it so few times, I wanted to go ahead and grab it. And I think the card looks awesome. And also, being a Chelsea fan, I think this is the best Lampard card you can get in this set, irrespective of Flawless being the best set. The reason why I say that is because I've bought other Chelsea players with their emblems in it from Flawless that I think are as good as this. But unfortunately, what Panini did was they decided to put Man City relics for Frank Lampard into this set. He only played for City for half a season. So the fact they put his relics in this set just makes no sense to me. So obviously that made me want to get the Soul of the Game even more. Now, what was a bit disappointing is in the last 7 days, a second copy got listed on Card Hobby. This one over here that I think has a slightly better autograph in the sense that it's not streaky like the one I bought. And this one is also 1 of 10. I think the relic looks a little bit nicer on the one that I got, a bit more textured. But this one sold for about $10 or $15 less than what I paid for mine, $20 less than what I paid for mine. So now, if I would have bid on this, maybe it would have sold for a lot more. Who knows? I'm very happy and thankful to get what I got. But you guys can understand the pain there, right? You go ahead and finally buy something and then a second copy gets listed and sold for less a few days later. So anyway, I wanted to quickly show that. This is probably going to be the last card that I buy of value. I think it cost me like $500 USD all up. So not super expensive in the grand scheme of things. It's super expensive in terms of the value of cards that I do go ahead and buy. But this will be something that I try and get graded at some point. I'll probably send it to PSA, even though I am a CGC fanboy, along with this Andrea Pirlo, because I think these two cards need to be in a PSA slab to sort of protect myself long term in terms of resale value. But unfortunately, like we discussed in yesterday's video, tariffs are coming, PSA's closed for Australians, so I don't know when it is I can do that, but that's sort of, I'm going to be a wait and see kind of thing. But like I sort of mentioned, I'm probably going to hold off for at least a little bit. Now, In terms of another pretty cool PC pickup in recent months, it's been this ticket over here. So this is from the 2006 World Cup. I've actually shown off the ticket before in a video, and I mentioned I was getting it graded. It came back from PSA with a 3. Very good grade is what it got. And the reason why this is super important is that this was Australia's first World Cup since I think 1974. So only the second ever one that we qualified for. We actually got out of the group stage and made it into the round of 16. But this ticket is from the opening match to that tournament, where we actually won 3-1 against Japan after losing 1-0 for most of the game. And it includes, well, it's on record for being our first, second, and third ever World Cup goals, as well as our first ever World Cup win. So me being an Aussie, needed to own this, right? I unfortunately couldn't go to the game because it was in Germany. I was only 16 at the time, so I couldn't afford to go. I would have loved to have been there. But this is at least a memorabilia item that I can keep forever, right? Keep it on a shelf and sort of think back at how awesome that game was and sort of how it changed soccer in this country and sort of how things have kicked on from there. It's a really important moment in Australia's history, ultra sporting history in general. So this was a no-brainer. And yeah, I want to talk about it because I think it's pretty cool. Unfortunate on the grade, but the grade is irrelevant, right? Who gives a shit that it got a 3? Who cares? It's cool to own. And this is the sort of stuff that I'll be chasing, at least in the immediate future, right? More memorabilia type stuff. I'm giving cards a bit of a break, trying to chase a bit more of this, but similar to this over here, you know, if I find stuff for cheap as people look to liquidate, that's what I'm going to be trying to chase and trying to consolidate my collection into some higher end stuff, because this is the time when we need to be doing that, right? So I'm rambling. That's a long time for me just to show you 2 pickups, but I wanted to talk about it because, like I said, you know, the economy is not going in a good direction. I think it's only going to get worse. And maybe I'm off base by saying that, but my thought process is I'm going to wait and see how things go. I'm going to stop buying, put my money aside, and try and chase some big ticket items when they become available, because this might be, you know, the only buying opportunity we have for quite some time, right? You're sort of seeing people talk about that from a crypto lens as well. I've got a pretty big portfolio of crypto. I won't talk to that in detail, but you know, now's the time where you sort of buy more, at least in my opinion, if you have the cash to do so. I'm not, you know, a financial advisor or anything like that. That's just what I'm going to try and do in my own situation. When I look at stuff like this, people have paper hands, people look to liquidate because they have to pay for things for their family, etc. So for me, that's a buying opportunity, and let's sort of see what happens over the next few months. This is sort of when things are interesting and where you can make, you know, some good coin. So is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you think I'm off base with anything that I said, but I thought it would be pretty cool to show some of these things off. So anyway, share your thoughts down below. I didn't want to talk to this in fact in terms of showing you some trends when it comes to sales or market history or, you know, stock exchanges or anything like that. The mainstream news will tell you that to a T. But I thought it'd be good to talk about, you know, my thought process and what I'm planning to do over the next few months. So anyway, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.